Friday evening, ladies in waiting. Welcome to another session of our Power Series. Yes, our 30-minute Ladies in Waiting Power Series, where we have been bringing in some women. Oh my gosh, and they have just been giving us the power. I really hope that you have been with us from the start. If you are just joining us by chance, hear what? You have the weekend to go back to the first session and come up to speed, okay? Because we are moving forward. We are not even halfway, and we have so much more to bring to you. I just want to welcome you again. And if you have been with us from the first session and you keep on coming back, thank you and welcome back. Well, this emphasis, this power series is brought to you by this group, Ladies in Waiting. And by now you should know the purpose of the group because you're here. It's a group where we wanted to create a space for single Christian women to prepare them, your minds, your hearts, your spirits, your emotions, the total man preparation, strategic preparation, as we say in the group, for marriage, if that's your desire. And we have all types of singles here. We have never married, we have singles via divorce, we have some singles, they are widows. And so we have a group, a diverse group, all coming together, and their heart's desire is to do some things right that they probably didn't get right the first time. And so in all humility, they are here to learn. And that's one of the things we encourage. You come to this group with a heart of humility, that you are here to learn, you are here to give, share from your experience, and then apply to your preparation period, that as long as God would have you in this preparation mode. And so this series, this month-long series, is a part of that preparation for marriage. And it's in the month of April. For those of you who have been journeying with me from the start, you would have heard my testimony. For those of you who are new, I'm just going to give you in a nutshell. This month, the month of April, is actually my anniversary month. Yes, this week I celebrated not four, two. Yes, I'm still excited. 2 years of wedded bliss and miss and everything in between, because yes, I am still on that journey. And those of you who would have heard the testimony, I made a pledge to God. I got married at 41. And in that final year, I think it was Allison's session that she touched on a part of my testimony, that I came to that place where I said, God, if it doesn't happen, you still have all of me. And in quick succession after that, he came. And the joke is that when he did come, I started to rebuke the devil in the name of Jesus. Get thee hence, Satan, because I was finally enjoying it, really enjoying it. So that's another testimony for another time. But this month I celebrated 2 years, and God started me on this journey. He said, I want you to go back and help your sisters prepare for this season in their life. Do I know everything? No. I am only following instructions of the commander. And that's why I bring in midwives. This is another term that you should know by now. We use in this group to help you and to pour into you. And so this month, you'll be seeing some ladies in waiting speaking to you. And then you'll be seeing some midwives who are no longer ladies in waiting, but they're just like me. They're coming back to pour into you, to help you prepare for the next season. And so I've talked enough. This next speaker is, I met her over 20 years ago now at a camp, a carnival camp. And it's a young lady I've seen progress professionally and she'll tell you more about herself in that vein. But the key thing that has always caught my attention about her is that she stayed with God. And the higher she went up in her professional life, she stayed with God. So tonight she's coming to speak to us about breaking the glass ceiling, excelling in a man's world, God's way. As ladies in waiting, we are working on the total woman, and we're preparing you for leadership positions as well. And so tonight, get your pen and your paper ready as we welcome KERSHA Andrews to speak to us tonight. Hello, KERSHA.
Hi, Jiz. Mrs. Clement, happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Celebrating with you. You are such a beautiful soul, and
thank you.
You deserve all the happiness in the world. So happy anniversary to you.
Amen. Thank you so much. So are you ready to give us the power, KERSHA?
Well, just, I can't always promise to give you the fire and the power, but I will give you the words and the thoughts.
Amen. And
as God delivers.
As God delivers. Amen. So take it away.
Good evening to all the ladies in waiting here. It's truly an honor for me to be in this group sharing with you. I told Giselle today that it is really only, just a select few people, and she is one of them, who could really, push me past my limits and comfort zone. And I really am grateful to her, and I'm grateful to God really too for the opportunity to share with you. I am KERSHA. I am an engineer by profession. I started off with electrical and computer engineering, and my career has taken me from electrical and computer engineering, controls, instrumentation, subsea controls, subsea engineering, project engineering, and this is where I am today. I am not celebrating a full anniversary as yet, but in a couple of months or so, I will be celebrating 16 years in the oil and gas and petrochemical industries. And so I will be celebrating, I will be looking back on a career. And I must say that I am proud of the career that I've had. It has not been perfect. It has had its downs and its valleys, but it has also had its highs. And I am proud of it, not because I am a CEO, but I am proud of it because through all of those valleys and through all of those lows, I have always been able to trust in my God. I have always been able to come back to him and always been able to be guided by him. And then I have been able to look back on it and see how he was always at work in my life. And so when Jiz asked me to share today on breaking the glass ceiling, doing it God's way, I couldn't say no, because he has shown me how to do that. He has shown me how to do it his way. And even when it wasn't my way, even when it wasn't the way that others told me that it needed to be, it was his way. And so today I have, put some points together for you as I look back on that, this 16 years of my life or so. And I'm actually going to structure it based on something that I have been developing over the past 6 months or so, which is really targeted towards multi-potential, multi-passionate, multi-purpose women. Because one of the things that women who have a lot of passions tend to struggle with is how to get clarity in their careers and really how to move forward and to say what they want and to really be very clear with their goals and their ambitions. And I started to put this together prayerfully, and it was really reflective of a lot of what had been happening with me as well. So I'm so excited to share it with you. It's funny because you're the first people that I'm about to share it with. So I am thrilled, really thrilled about that. Now, just before I start, I did say that it was really geared towards multi-potential, multi-passionate, multi-purpose women. And I want to, speak a little bit about that as I go into it, because what tends to happen for a lot of women like us is that we can be pulled in many different directions. So I may be pulled in dance and fitness because that dance is my passion. I'm passionate about health and wellness. I might be pulled with the arts, and then I'm pulled in engineering and the sciences and math. And I'm pulled as well in terms of of ministry and in terms of helping others. But what you find is that when you show up with all of these gifts and all of your talents, that is really when God starts to show up in you as well. And that actually is his way. So let's start with it. So the name of the program is actually the KALEIDO calling. And I love it because Kaleido means beauty. A lot of us may know, know the term kaleidoscope, where you look through this kind of barrel like a prism, and at the end of it, you see this, this myriad of colors and different patterns and shapes. But Kaleido is really where you take that, the beauty that even is before all of that and before it's focused into the kaleidoscope. So the Kaleido calling is where we're being called to honor that beauty and to embrace all of the beautiful gifts and talents and blessings that God has given us, to strive and to thrive and to shine and to grow and also to give back and to impact our worlds. Yes? So it's Kaleido, and we're breaking it down with those 7 letters, KALEIDO. So a little bit of a backstory. So my name is KERSHA and it starts with K. So when I used to go to these camps, they would always ask for things like, oh, well, can you please describe yourself using the first letter of your name? Well, when you have a name like K, you're probably going to use kind, right? And kind. And I really couldn't think much about kind, but kind wasn't really what I wanted to, describe myself as. Yeah, I'm kind. We should all be kind. Love is kind. But it wasn't the defining thing about myself. So I was always looking for a keyword. Then I would sometimes use kinetic because, I'm always moving. Even back then, I loved to exercise. So kinetic was one I used sometimes. And then somewhere along the line, I found this word kaleidoscopic. And I loved it because it meant somebody who was creating different patterns and doing different things. And it carried a kind of energy with it. Plus, of course, it was unique. Nobody else starting with K was using kaleidoscopic. And that is really what I want to impress upon you tonight. Your combination of gifts and talents are exactly what sets you up to break the glass ceiling God's way. It is because of your uniqueness. And if you try to copy anybody else or anybody else's brand or combination of talents, you're going to fail. And so you really need to be true to your unique brilliance and your unique beauty. So keep that in mind for all of these things I'm going to share, that it is really going to apply to you and how you want to stamp it upon your life. This is KERSHA's representation, but yours might be different. Yes? So the first K word that we're going to talk about today is knowledge. And sometimes, as Christians, we pray and we focus on our faith and we focus on God's favor. But faith without knowledge and faith without a foundation is very, it's shaky. And when we want to pray and we want to ask God for things, we have to always remember as well that it is his word that says to us that faith comes by hearing and hearing by the word of God. We won't even know what to have faith in if we didn't know his word. And in the same way, when we want to trust God to have a career that is going to grow and to be meaningful, we also have to have the knowledge to back that up. So when you're going to start your career, you have to think to yourself, where do I want to go? What do I need to do? What kind of training do I need to expose myself to? Because you are going to need to be able to stand on the foundation of your knowledge. And tonight, I want to share with you 3 aspects of knowledge. One is training, yes. So that's like, very common. We understand that. It comes from your degree. It might come from certifications, etc. And then another one is experience. And that is the one we sometimes overlook. And experience can come in different ways. Experience can come from being hired at a job, but experience also comes from the things you volunteer for, the things you raise your hand up for with the different projects, your volunteer work. All of those things lend to your experience to add upon your knowledge. Whatever you trained in, use your experience and you really solidify the things that you know. And then now when you have the training and the experience, that now comes to form your network. So by network, I mean the group of people and persons who are in your circle who will now help push your career. So when we talk about networking, sometimes people tend to get the idea of going and men will go and play golf. That's you hear about that a lot. They will go and have drinks after work, and I can't compete with that. I can't compete with the drinks after work and playing golf. I don't do either. Right? But what can happen though is through the training and through the experiences, you can now use those interactions to build a network with some of those same persons. And that now is giving you a platform to now influence, to now say, did you hear about this job? To now say, hey, I'm thinking about what else I can apply for. Just recently I had to apply for jobs as the company I'm in was restructuring. And on the last day, I reached out to one of the managers, a man who I had gone to India with to look at, some potential resources for us. And I messaged him on the day and I said, hey, let's call him John. Hey, John, how are things? And he says, hey, KERSHA. I said, John, I'm just reaching out to connect. We can get together for a little getting to know you, or so for half an hour, after this period is passed. And he says, oh, no, can you call me now? And he had 2 jobs he wanted me to apply for. Now, I don't know if I'm going to get those jobs, but what I'm saying is that is how you can now use your network that you have gained through your experience and, of course, through your knowledge and your training to now get connections to go forward in your career. And the second one that I want to mention as well is authenticity. So it's authenticity along with your attitude. Now, sometimes we can be fake, very fake, because we want to fit in. It is not an environment that we're used to, and it's not an environment that we are accustomed to. But the thing about being fake is this: you just really cannot sustain it for long. It will give out on you. Whatever mask that you put up, I would say mask, and I remember Jesus, we started. Whatever mask that you put up, whatever facade that you build, it is going to fade. It is going to be very hard to sustain. So you absolutely need to be authentic. And another thing about being fake, another danger with being fake is this: men can spot fake just like women. In fact, sometimes I think they can spot fake long, long before women. They are very keen on sensing people who are real and when people are not being genuine. And that is probably because they are also very good in the workplace at pretending and at faking. So they probably know how to spot it as well. I have met a lot of fakers and a lot of grand talkers and grandstanders, but they know how to progress their careers. But that's not God's way. God's way is a way of truth, and God's way is a way of what is fact. And therefore, for us, we absolutely need to be honest about who we are and what we can do. And we also too need to be honest about where our challenges are. So authentic is very key. And then too, you have your attitude. Now, I will be the first to confess that, you see, my attitude was not always on point. I had a good attitude when I was doing well, when I was getting excellent reviews and good commendations. But when I was struggling, when I was having people issues, it was hard. I remember when I first started, I had a colleague, and he made a statement that I still have to laugh a little bit at today. And he said, all Black women are ugly. Well, like, what? And one of my friends from school challenged him on it. And he said, how could you say that? That can't be true. He says, like, think about Beyonce. Now, of course, everybody wants to think about Beyonce. And he's like, oh, yeah, I guess Beyonce is okay. And then the guy says, well, what about Halle Berry? Like, oh, yeah, I guess Halle Berry is okay. Now, I'm sitting down in the same office. But nobody's suggesting, like, what about KERSHA? And I was just like, but what are we really having a conversation like that here? And then he says, well, those Black women are only good looking because they're mixed. Right. So I'm not mixed. Look at my nose, look at my features, look at my hips, look at my shape. I'm not mixed. And that started a path for me of a really, I don't want to say a terrible attitude, but an attitude where I was really demotivated. I became extremely sensitive to almost everything that he would do. And yes, his behavior wasn't right. Yes, the things that he said wasn't correct. But you have to realize as well that I was the single female person in that room. I was already outranked by 2 others. And he repeated that. at another time with more guys. And while they didn't necessarily agree, nobody actually said to him, hey, stop saying that. That's nonsense. And that is the thing about when you're in a male environment sometimes. They might very well know it's nonsense, but they may not always kill it. They may just allow it to just exist. And how we respond to that, how we as women respond to that is extremely important, especially when we're single. Because somehow in men's minds, they associate not having a partner as a sign of vulnerability. And therefore, my attitude really suffered with that. I remember one night I came home and I was crying. Actually, I wasn't crying, I was whimpering. I was scared. I had become so afraid of any kind of interaction with this guy that it was sad. I was a whimpering little wimp. And my mom said to me, she says, listen, so let's call the guy Thomas. She says, listen to me. Thomas is a boy. You are also a child of God. You're just not engineers together. You're an engineer plus a child of God. And mind you, this is in my first year of working, right? I'm not a very experienced engineer, and he was. And I felt that I should have covered. And I remember she sat with me that day and we prayed. And she didn't even pray in English. It was just tongues and releasing power. And that night, I began to get a revelation of what my attitude needed to be in the workplace, of what my attitude needed to be when I needed to stand up in front of these guys who seemed to run the world. And my attitude needed to be one of strength, one of resilience. And I would love to tell you that after that night, I became Miss Resilient. No. In fact, even when I switched companies for various reasons, and I was sitting with the president of that company many, many years later, and I was still struggling with guys who put me down, and I had to constantly keep coming back to a place of resilience. And he said to me, KERSHA, what can I say to you? Or what can I do to help you to be more resilient? And when he said that, I said to myself, and I said to him, there's nothing you are supposed to do. I said, I'm a woman of faith, and I'm supposed to be able to pull on my faith to be resilient. And that day, I can tell you from then on that it was much easier for me to pull on resilience. And I will tell you as well that what started to happen, a chain of events, it's almost like when Giselle said when she embraced the single life. When I embraced the fact that I was probably at the lowest and it was the most unfair position I should have been in my career, opportunities started to come. Sponsorships started to come for me to go and do brilliant things in other countries. And so you find that attitude is really key because people are looking at you to be sure that you are resilient enough, you are strong enough, and that you are authentic enough to handle the position and the leadership that might come at you. So L is for language, and L isn't going to take long because it's short and it's it's kind of obvious. But there are two aspects of our language. One is what we say. When I entered the petrochemical industry, I remember the technician saying to me, so KERSHA, you don't cuss? I was like, what? I was like, well, no, not really. It's not my habit. Now, I remember when I was in primary school, it was something we kind of played around with because one of the teachers used to do it a lot, but it was never my style. And they said to me, I bet you by the end of this year, you'll be cussing wind like all of us. And I started working first of June. And there was an experience that I had where the same Thomas guy, Thomas did something really strange. He did something that compromised safety and he compromised all the rules. But when he did that, what happened was I was all by myself in the control room. And everybody blamed me for what he did because he breached the rules. Nobody knew what he had done. And the plant was in chaos. Now, this was a chemical plant, right? So people monitoring things, making sure everything is normal, nothing is blowing up or, chemicals releasing into the atmosphere. And crazy things, like just question marks on the screen. The operators can't tell what is going on. And they watch me because I am the only engineer that they could see. I was baffled. And then when I realized what had happened, because one of the other guys came and said, well, I saw Thomas walking outside with a laptop, and I think I saw him come from, like, what? Well, I had never been a cussa before. And in that moment, like, I got a download of the use of obscene language in that moment. And it is still one of the moments I regret the most today. But after that, I said to myself, you know what? You miss me once, you won't get me twice. And I resolved from that day forward that when they said to me that, KERSHA, by the end of this year, you'll be cussing, that by the end of this year, I will not be cussing and I will not do it again. And now I could say 15 years later, I have gone offshore, I have gone to different countries, I have worked with men on rigs, on vessels, on platforms, in offices, and I have never become that person again, no matter how much they have pushed me. So what I want to say is that yes, your language is very important. And it is absolutely critical for us as Christians that we set ourselves a target and we set ourselves our values. Because if we don't do that, we fall easily. You can see how, because I could tell you, I was never a cusser before. Like Giselle will tell you, I'm in camp all the time. And in that moment, everything that I had been hearing was suddenly able to be reproduced because of how angry and victimized I felt. But if we set ourselves that, the mandate that our language is always going to be seasoned, that our words are always going to give grace to the hearer as God tells us to do, then it becomes easier. Now, this is not a judgment on Christians who do curse. I have a guy, there's a guy at work. He is one of the most committed Christians that I know, a real Jesus lover. And cussing is his struggle. And he's wonderful. And it's not a judgment at all. It is really I'm just here to say that it has to be a goal that we set and it has to be something that we are careful about. Somebody might be struggling with doubt and somebody might be struggling with language. Now, language too isn't only about what we say, it's also about what we do, and it's also about how we show up. So what we do says a lot. Actions speak louder than words. So if our language is one where we're not being a team player, our language is one where we're proud and we're snobbish, that's not God's way. Because Jesus didn't reject the woman at the well. Jesus didn't reject Mary Magdalene. He was an all-inclusive. Now there's a whole big drive for diversity and inclusion, and you have, pushing the gender and the race, statistics at work. But Jesus was easily one of, our first pattern for D&I, diversity and inclusion. That's the shortened form of it. And as we follow him, we are supposed to be speaking his language. We are supposed to be speaking his language of care for people, respect for people, and love for people. So it's two things, what we say and what we do, to be making sure that we are representing Jesus to others. The other one is E. So E is energy, and I want energy to also extend to how we enforce our boundaries. Now, it's very important that you listen very carefully to me here, because I feel that this is something that we can really be affected by, especially women and especially Christian women, especially because we have been trained to think that we need to be very submissive. No, because we are absolutely not to confuse submission, gentleness, meekness with being a walkover. Yes? The fruits of the Spirit include meekness and gentleness. Absolutely. We should be meek and we should be gentle, but there's a time and a place. The Bible says, be harmless as doves, but wise as serpents. And if you know, when Jesus went into the temple and they were selling in the temple. I mean, because I'm sure if I ask you to think of a time of somebody who enforced a boundary, like somebody you respect, like in the Bible, one of the first persons who will come to your mind would be Jesus himself, right? So let's think about when he was at the temple and he saw this. Now, the very clear boundary that he enforced that day was there should be prayer in the house of God. He said to them, my father said that my house should be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves. And I'm pretty sure he didn't say it like, well, my daddy said that my house should be called a house of prayer, and it shouldn't be called a den of thieves. No, because he was throwing over tables. Pretty sure he raised his decibel volume to be sure that they heard him and to be sure that they understood that this was not okay. Now, I'm not telling you to go shout and make people drop. What I am saying, though, that if your normal volume is here and there's something that has moved past one of your comfort levels of boundaries, it is quite fine to take your decibel level from here to here. Perfectly fine. Nobody's saying shout, but from here to here. And I'll give you a couple of examples. And I'll tell you why. Because you see, men, they really associate us, a lot of them, with quiet and with walkover. And sometimes you have to kind of shock them into action, just like Jesus did to the same men who were selling in the temple. I'll give you two examples. I was once offshore, and I'm fun, I'm nice, friendly, social, KERSHA. And one of the, and this is how familiarity could breed contempt. So one of the guys, so you see my hair, I have long dreadlocks, right? So this is my hair. So it was hanging down my back on top of my coverall. This guy decided that he could walk up to me and pull my hair. So hold that for a minute. So remember when I was telling you about Thomas before, and when Thomas did something and I was whimpering, even though it had crossed my boundaries. And I'll tell you another story from that time as well, which kind of helped to shape how I responded, offshore. I went forward in time. Let me go back now. Once I was walking, there was a long walkway that there was on the plant, and I was wearing. I had already graduated to wearing jeans. I didn't start off wearing jeans as yet. I graduated to wearing jeans, but I was still like in a fairly long shirt covering most of my hip area. And the guy says to me fairly loudly for most of the other guys to hear, "KERSHA, you feel we can't see you with your big bam bam rolling, walking in the road?" Like, what, Sarijaz? And like, seriously, that was inappropriate. And at the time, I just went silent. I didn't say much. I just was like, okay. I didn't say much. I didn't enforce the boundary, but I learned. And I hope that you're getting tonight that it is okay if you don't always get it right the first time. It's okay to learn from my mistakes, and it's okay to learn from yours. Right. So now fast forward to being offshore when the guy pulls my hair. Now, you might think I don't know how you feel about hair, but you see, for me, I might talk and laugh and kiki with you, but my physical space is a very clear no touch, no cross boundary. When he did that, I was like, "Excuse me." See, voice went from to here. Face changes. Smile goes away. Turn, sharp. So the other guys who had seen him pull my hair didn't do anything at first. It was only when the decibels went up, only when my stance became very sharp, that he observed. And he took notice. And they all took notice. Say, "Hey, man, you can't touch a girl here, boy." So they didn't know that all the time? Of course they did. But sometimes what it takes for them is a Jesus overthrowing the table so that they can see and recognize that the boundaries have been enforced. We just have 3 more to go. And these are also fairly quick. I, KALEI, integrity. And the thing about integrity is this. We like to think of integrity as truth and integrity as honesty. And integrity is that as well. But there's another piece of integrity. And there's a piece of it which has to do with yourself, where you have to be true to yourself and you have to be honest with yourself. And then too, it's about what you defend. Isn't only about what you do, it's also about what you allow. And that is where integrity starts to become external to you. And I'll tell you something about that type of integrity. Because when you aren't practicing the kind of integrity that you are standing up for things, and you are speaking against things that you see, and you allow other persons to do things that you absolutely know are wrong, it puts a chink in your armor. And men love chinks in armor. They love to go for it. And so if you really want to break that glass ceiling, you can't have any chinks in the armor. You can't give them that vulnerability. So when you see them do things where they want to bypass a safety rule, or a financial audit or anything like that that might compromise your integrity as well because you know about it, that is absolutely the time to speak up. And do not let anybody try to intimidate you by making you feel that you are being a goody two shoes. Because the next time that something comes around, you're not going to be able to defend your position. And you absolutely need to be able to do that. And the thing about integrity is this: you want to associate yourself with people who also have the same levels of integrity. The Bible talks about iron sharpening iron, and integrity can wear on you. The need to maintain it can really take a toll because sometimes the pull of what everybody else is doing can be very strong. And you need to be stronger than that. And it's not always easy. So you need to have that iron sharpening iron, the other people who you could talk to, the other people who will stand with you, the other people who will say yes, call the speak up line, the other people who will say yes, call HR. And that is really where your testimony comes in. Two more: dress. Yes, we're on D. Now, dress, yes. You might say, okay, yeah, you're not gonna be too revealing, you're not gonna have anything too tight, you're not going to be the overly sexy person. But there's another aspect of dress. So all of that is fair and all of that is excellent. And yes, be modest at all times. But there's another aspect of dress that I want to share with you, as you really want to keep shooting for the stars. And it's found in the Proverbs 31 woman. And we can also see it in Esther when she was getting ready to go before the king. And it's also something that we call in the workplace, they call it power dressing. Now, I'm not a fan of pastels, but I wear pastel colors and light colors, and I wear florals, and those are fine and they are suitable for a time and place. But you also have to be considerate of your audience. And when you're in a man's world, if you notice the colors that they wear, and there's a reason for that, because blue signals security, black and gray they signal strength. And sometimes you find that you see a lot of the female CEOs, they're wearing red blazers and blue blazers. There's a reason for that. You'll almost never see them in a pale pink dress when they are about to give a presentation or when they're posing for their corporate image. They might wear it during the week, sure, but when they're trying to project that aura of strength and that aura of trust, you'll see they switch colors. And there's a reason for that. It's the same reason that the Proverbs 31 woman would clothe herself with scarlet, because she knows that when she's about to go into the marketplace and she's going to trade with the men at the gate, that she wants to project a certain image. And that's fine. That's absolutely fine. Now, you can find ways to wear, different styles of clothes that can still project that. And of course, again, come back to what I was saying in the beginning, your authentic style. But also be sure as well that what you project is what you're looking for, especially if you know that people are going to be forming a visual impression of you without even knowing you. And also too, remember that even with what you wear, it is also about how you stand and how you carry yourself. Because dress comes with a certain decor as well, like how you brand yourself and how you portray yourself. Because you can wear the most cutting edge navy blue suit, and if you hunch and you mousy, it still isn't going to do the job. So it's a total package that works to deliver the brand and the strength and the authority that you want in the workplace. And the last one that I want to touch on is O, and that's order and organization. See, our God is a God of decency and of order. And you really want to be clear on where you want to be and where you want to go. Have a very clear career map. And it doesn't have to be totally defined. It just has to be, I would like to be involved in X. I would like to work with external stakeholders. I would like to improve my communication skills. I would like to be more involved as a leader and to be a part of mentoring or technology development. And when you have those broad areas understood, then you are able to spot opportunities and be able to say and ask for the job. So that's it today. I just shared with you the 7 pillars: your knowledge, attitude and authenticity, language, your energy around enforcing your boundaries, being a person of integrity where iron sharpens iron, your dress, and also your whole decor as you brand yourself, and order and organization as we do it God's way. So that's it, the Kaleido calling for you as you shatter the glass ceiling. And Jiz is back.
Wow. The Kaleido calling. I wish I had this when I just started my career. Then I wish I had this as I started to move through the ranks. This can be applied wherever you are, wherever you are. Woo!
I had some
Brand
learnings,
this
Jiz.
and start giving, sharing this. Oh, but we got it first.
You got it
Ladies in
first.
waiting, you are special. You got it first. This was awesome. I really wanted this session, KERSHA, and when I was saying, I like KERSHA, because there's a trend now, and I don't like it too much, that this boss babe kind of thing that's being projected, that to be a boss you have to become, almost the mannish and like
Absolutely
take on
not.
the male persona, and that's the only way you're going to be successful. So boss up, and the language, and you spoke about language, the language that goes along. But is that God's way? Is that God's way? And as Christians, we sometimes get, sucked into the trends, but we need to pause and ensure that we are doing it according to the script. We have a script. We are people of the book, and God would give us downloads that he gave you, this system, this Kaleido calling, to help us to understand how we can dissect the script and apply it to our lives. God is interested in every area, every aspect, even our career. And even as he takes us into leadership roles, he wants us to be successful, but his way. And we don't have to become male. And you are in a male environment. You didn't get sucked into that concept that, I have to become like a man in order to be successful. So
and it's easy to think that, Jiz. It really is. And the whole boss babe, it's, I get it. I do. And I think it's because we see that a lot of people have done that to be successful. But you have to be true to yourself. And I have been fortunate to meet many women who have been true to themselves and reached very far in their careers. And therefore, it's not required. It is absolutely not required to be fake at all.
That's right. That's right. And I love that when you spoke about dress, and this is a progression, and even as you continue to grow in your career, God will show you things, how to do things. How I remember when you just started, they told you about the colors and the red and the power color, and when you're going to meetings but I found, for me, even as I got into the leadership position, that the colors changed, and I would wear different colors, and probably not even understanding, but that's not a power color. But it was me. I was really embracing who Giselle was, and these colors represented me, and I was being true to myself. So they still got the power, they still got the authority, but I was not wearing red. But that's when you're really getting into your own and becoming comfortable in your own skin, that, wow, this is me. And take me. This is me.
And it goes both ways as well. I remember when a manager saying to me, KERSHA, you don't have anything red, do you? You should get a red jacket. But when I realized that the reason that I wasn't wearing red was that I didn't think I would look good in red. That's a totally different thing.
Right.
And I remember one day going into a store and trying on a red jacket because I had to for work. We had to wear red or yellow because of the brand colors. And I had to buy one. And I bought it and I put it on and I wore it. And I was like, wait, I do look good in red.
Yes.
And I did, and so it's fine to not wear a color because of your personal preference. If you feel great about yourself, it's just not fine to do it if you're, hiding low self-esteem issues.
That's
so,
right.
Yes, now I have 2 or 3 red jackets.
Oh yeah, different shades, cherry red, this red, and
you're all very cherry because I'm a cool. My coloring is cool, so they're all going to be as corrections. And I do fuchsia pink a lot too.
You see? So I really, really want to thank you. And I I'm going to go over this kaleidoscope and apply to where I am now and the shifts that I'm going through and really use it to
I'm
propel me
glad.
forward. So thank you,
You're
Kersha.
welcome.
Wow, wow, wow.
It's always a pleasure, Jess. Thank you.
You are most welcome. Thank you for your yes. Thank you for your, and as you said, because of me, so I'll take that. So, ladies in waiting, this has been another session of our Power Talk series. I hope that you were just writing like I was. For those of you who would catch the replay, I want you to comment so we'll come back and acknowledge you. And if you have any questions, please ask them. Kersha and myself will be coming back in and we'll be answering those questions. But the month is not over yet, and we have more power coming your way. So stay tuned until next time. Bye.
Bye.